What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your co-host Donovan Quick, and it's been a rough week for us Dolphins fans, right? It's been a lot of venting, a lot of like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Why aren't we doing this? And a lot of us are blaming Chris Grier, Stephen Ross, Mike McDaniel. But I think of the levels, it kind of goes Mike McDaniel's down here, Stephen Ross is up here, and then Chris Grier's all the way up here. A lot of us blame Chris Grier for a lot of the issues that we're having right now because it is a personnel issue. A little bit, there's not really much of a coaching issue that I see. McDaniel improving with his play calling. I see the defense has gotten a lot better even though their personnel sucks. And I see it. So it leads me to who's bringing in the personnel. That's Chris Grier. A lot of us are on the same page with that. I would say probably 90% of Dolphins fans who want someone fired would say Chris Grier is the first one to go. And there's a good reason for that. Because our offensive line sucks. Our personnel sucks. And Stephen Ross is like, you know what? You're getting one more year at least. We're retaining these guys, but, you know, we expect excellence here in Miami. I don't know why we expect excellence here in Miami, because we freaking have been mediocre for the last 20-something years. And, you know, us fans are sick of it. We're tired of it. You build us up every single year just to let us down? So then the question is, you know, we're starting to calm down a little bit as this week comes to an end. And we're left with, okay, we're stuck with Grier for at least another year. In his press conference, it sounded good. He said that, look, I understand the offensive line sucks. We're going to get that fixed. I promise we're going to get that fixed. Now, the question is that a lot of you guys are asking, and I'm asking it too, is can we trust Chris Grier to deliver on his promises? Can we trust him to address the offensive line like he said he's going to do? And the question is a good question. The answer is a difficult to answer, because Chris Grier's been the GM technically since 2016. I kind of give him a personal pass on the first 3 years because that's, to me, was more Mike Tannenbaum. I kind of give it 2019 on is more Chris Grier. But since 2016, we haven't drafted that many offensive linemen. We just haven't. And the majority of those picks have been after the second round. So just to give you guys a little rundown, this is off the top of the dome, so forgive me if I'm missing anybody. But our first round offensive linemen, Laramie Tunsil, Austin Jackson. Those are the only two first round offensive linemen since 2016. Both of those are hits. Now, Austin Jackson, a little bit less of a hit because he's often injured and unavailable. But when he is in there, especially in Mike McDaniel's scheme, he is really good. He took a little bit to get there, but he is really good. Now, second round, this is where it gets a little bit funnier. You have Robert Hunt, smash hit. Our best offensive lineman picked after the first round by far. Patrick Paul looks to be a hit. Time will tell. And then Liam Eichenberg. We all know how that's going. We know that he sucks. We know that. And I thought that was a good pick at the time. Right? I thought that, look, this guy did not give up a single sack in college. He is a dude. He is a dog. Why did he fall all the way to the second round? He should have been a first rounder. It's because he is so slow off the snap that he gets pushed back like he's a toddler. Like, that's what it is. It's like he's weak for an offensive lineman and he's slow off the snap. And he just gets pushed back. It's terrible. It's terrible. And anybody who watched this season and watched Liam Eichenberg was just like, what are you doing? Third round pick, Michael Dieter. He's kind of another special case. He never really found, you know, his home here in Miami. He was a decent backup center for us his last season here. Before that, kind of moved around the offensive line. Couldn't really find his spot to really groove. Then he went to the Texans. And with the Texans, their center got injured. He stepped in, played the rest of the season. He was a dog. He was really good. Then he went to the Commanders this year, and their center got hurt. He steps in, and he's playing really well right now for them as well. Good luck to him in the playoff game this weekend. But that being said, now you go on to the 4th round picks. Our 4th round pick, Solomon Kindley. He lasted 2 years in the NFL, then got cut. His first year was kind of okay. Then we have 5th round picks, Isaac Asiata. He basically gone after a year. He spent a year down here, then he became a police officer. So, like, whatever. And then you have Larnell Coleman, and Hayes, who's currently on our practice squad, and someone else, Isaiah Prince. All of those guys, 6th, 7th round picks, they suck. They're not on the team. So when you're drafting these guys higher, like I said, both your 1st round picks have been hits. Then you have your 2nd round picks, where 2 out of the 3 were hits. So out of 5 of your 5 picks in the first 2 rounds, 4 of them hit. You're hitting at an 80% clip if you're drafting an offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds. But you draft less than 10 offensive linemen in the last 8 years is ridiculous. That is unacceptable. You should be drafting at least 1 offensive lineman a year. I get, some of the years you got to go later rounds. And I know we have, some other issues, but like, you drafted Noah Igbenogany, you drafted Cam Smith. Both of those guys, now I'm a Nick Bo fan, and I think he's doing his thing over in Washington, but he didn't work out here in Miami, and he was never supposed to be a 1st round pick. That could have been an offensive lineman. That could have been, like, I don't even care if you reach for the next best offensive lineman that is like 20 picks down your board. I don't. And I do believe in the whole draft the best available, but sometimes the best available for you is the best offensive lineman on the board. And same thing with Cam Smith. Like, at the time, we have Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey. Like, why did we need a corner? Now, obviously, now we need a corner, but I mean, this draft was loaded with corners, and it kind of sucks. We could have used that pick on an offensive lineman. So when you ask me, do I trust Chris Grier to deliver on his promise? And I don't know, because if he goes in, and there's some good offensive linemen in this draft, especially Will Campbell. If he can trade up and get Will Campbell, I am 100% back in. I am 110% back in on this team, and because Will Campbell is a dog. He is basically the Penei Sewell of guards. The dude can pull anywhere. He's athletic, and the dude wants to be successful. You hear him talk. He's the one that a lot of you may not know. He had that post-game press conference. And he was talking about, look, if you have a defensive lineman, he gets a sack a game, and he's gonna be one of the top paid defensive linemen ever. Whereas if you're an offensive lineman, you give up 1 sack a game, you're gonna be working at McDonald's. And there's nothing wrong about that, but that's just how it is. And I love that quote. I know I messed it up a little bit, so I apologize, but you guys get the gist of it. And when he's talking about it, you could see it in his eyes, in his emotional expression, that he fully understands and fully just wants to be successful and wants to play ball. And honestly, I trust Mike McDaniel to be able to develop offensive linemen, because, I mean, the turnaround he had with Austin Jackson is incredible. What he's done in just a year with the fundamentals with Patrick Paul is fantastic. I mean, honestly, this offensive line, for as crappy as the personnel was this season, played great. Aaron Brewer, I thought, was a bum before he came to Miami. I did not like that signing at all, and he coached him up. So when you ask me, do I trust Chris Grier, I'm going to tell you no. But I trust Mike McDaniel to help Chris Grier draft the right offensive lineman for this scheme and to coach that offensive lineman up. Because, look, he was a run game coordinator for for the 49ers for how long? He's been in these kinds of offenses that need heavy, good blocking, and he's been in it for so long. He understands what it needs and what it takes to be a successful team and what it looks like to not have a successful team. He coached the crap out of this team this season, and you cannot tell me otherwise. Now, his challenges, need to fix those. But that's the guy advising him upstairs. As far as Mike McDaniel goes, I trust him to help Chris Grier and possibly save Chris Grier's career with the Miami Dolphins. And we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we don't trade up for another running back, because we don't need another running back. But if we do, Cam Scatabo, welcome to Miami. Anyways, that's what I got for y'all. I don't trust Chris Grier. I trust Mike McDaniel to help Chris Grier get the right guy in Miami. That's what I got for y'all. Deuces.